Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Angelic Portal 111, formerly known as Fat Cat, and this is the channel where we get into the topics of spirituality, self-development, sound healing, astrology, and also a little bit of electronic music production. So today I wanted to talk about not having your emotions validated. What do you do when um, when you have all these deep emotions, you have all these complicated emotions, and you express these emotions, and also and at the same time you don't receive the validation for the expression of those emotions, right? So this video is specifically for all those souls, all those people who feel very deeply, who are very sensitive. So I would say the HSPs who are on here, highly sensitive people. And also this video is for just people who feel very deeply, who have a lot of angst, who who have a lot of demons, so-called demons inside of them, and who find it very difficult to handle those emotions. Okay, so let's talk about firstly those emotions, and secondly what do you do when you express those emotions and they're not validated, and thirdly how to express those emotions in a way that works best for you firstly and then for the others involved. Okay, so whether for the good or the bad, right? It's not really a matter of good or bad, yes or no, black or white. It's just that some people, some of us feel very deeply. That includes me. We feel very deeply, and uh, we're able to feel the energies around us very quickly, very easily. We are very, very sensitive to energies, energy shifts. We're very sensitive to complex energies, complex dynamics. We are very sensitive to the both positive and negative energy, and some of us have this habit of absorbing that energy, right? And some of us have that habit and know it and become aware of it, and therefore we don't no longer absorb it. We learn to not absorb it. But the important thing is that some of us feel that deeply. We are able to sense and feel those energies, and we can't always put it into words. So the difficulty comes because we're feeling so much, but we have no way of proving it. Like, there is no evidence. I can't always give an evidence and tell you, like, evidentially this is the energy, this is what's happening, and therefore I need to leave this situation or leave this place, right? It's just something so instinctive and intuitive. And I think as humans we all are able to feel these energies, but not all of us are able to understand that what's really going on. Sometimes we feel it and we ascribe something else, some other meaning to it, or sometimes we feel it and we shake it off. We're like, no, 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 like, yeah, it's not really happening. Or sometimes it's just that we have built up so much layers and layers of defenses, and through rationality and through conditioning, through how society is you're meant to function. You have developed this hard exterior, so you don't even let those emotions come to you, which means you don't even allow yourself to feel that deeply, which I think is also problematic. I think this is also a huge problem we face. And Unfortunately what happens is, because the majority of people prefer to do that, they prefer to deny emotions, and they prefer to create like this defense around themselves and this shell around themselves. And as a result, the people who don't have that, who are vulnerable, who are open, they deeply suffer because their feelings get invalidated, and their complex emotions are invalidated, shamed, um, you know ostracized, whatever, like many different variations, or it's ignored. Sometimes it's just ignored, and this is a huge emotional epidemic, right? And I know there are some woke people out here, and I know that as a result of internet, and as a result of us being in the 21st century, things have improved, and we are shining different people, different organizations, different groups are shining light on these on these discrepancies, and on this kind of injustice that happens in the the emotional landscape of us as humans. And there is definitely a lot of positive movement towards being more open and not hiding and not repressing our emotions. But at the same time, I'm here to say that a majority of the society is not there yet, especially in a place like India where I live. And I think it's not even just India, I think it's a slow positive move, like the move um, towards like full emotional expression and towards embracing the entire spectrum of who we are. It is not something that is easy, and it is not something that's happening very quickly. It's taking its time, which is why I want to just make this video to say that, hey, listen, guys, girls and guys, like, if you are feeling deep emotions, if you are feeling complex emotions, and if you are, if it's eating you on the inside, and if it is very painful to process, just know that I understand what you're going through. I've been there, I still go through it sometimes. I've always been a very intense person on the inside, and I understand that it's not easy to deal with that in the cookie cutter world that we live in. I understand that it can be a very lonely journey that only a few people are going to understand, and only a few people are going to give you the support that you need. And I'm here to say that I'm here as a support for you virtually, um, to validate your emotions, to validate that complex emotional landscape that you inhabit sometimes. And I'm here to say that it's okay. I'm here to say that I'm here to say that you deserve to feel the entire spectrum of emotions, and you deserve to express it. And I'm also here to remind you that there is a network of people globally who are in the same shoes as you are, as I am, who are empaths, who are highly sensitive people, who feel very deeply, who are very, very, like, this extreme sensitivity is good and bad, right? It has both sides to it. So, who find it difficult sometimes to live in this dense world. I find it difficult sometimes. I feel very, very lonely. But would I choose any other way of being? No. I won't choose any other way of being or way of living, because this is authentic path for me. And I have made some of the most genuine friends and well-wishers on this journey. They may not be large in number, they may not be my blood family, but they are people who I can really lean on. And they are people who also feel those things I feel often, who are also sensitive, who are also layered, who are also who are also honest with themselves. And as a result, we can meet in the middle, we can really discuss and help each other and process things and get the best advice, which is not not the kind of advice that demeans you, that belittles you, not the kind of advice that dismisses you. So a lot of the times, the problem that we HSPs and empaths faces this kind of dismissal, as if you're a fly that has to be swatted away, right? It's like you're coming to this space, you're being as open as you can, you're being as vulnerable as you can, and you're met with either a blank wall or you're met with dismissal. It's like what you said didn't even happen. It's like what you said doesn't even count. So either there is a silent treatment that is resulting from it, or there is there is just like a silent treatment, denial, with like a lack of resolution, a lack of openness to actually resolve, or even there's a complete lack of openness to the actual reception of that idea, of that emotion. So what happens when I just this is a thing that I know all of you can relate to it. So a lot of the times this starts in childhood, right? You come to your parents and you say something that is really close to your heart, and you receive a very dismissive reply, or you receive a very again belittling kind of reply, or even a negative response, which means you stop doing that thing that which means you repress that thing within you. You repress that emotional vulnerability, you repress that whatever it was that you were, let's say, proud of, when you came to them and they were like dismissive of it. You'll start repressing that, right? But as you grow older, you realize, okay, this was a pattern, I want to heal that. But yeah, it's definitely very painful when you express something with your whole heart on your sleeve, and all you can receive back is denial and silent treatment. And especially when it is from a loved one, from a caregiver, especially if it is from a caregiver or someone who's very close to you. And yeah, I mean, it is just hard. Let's just acknowledge that it's just hard, it's painful, and let's first accept it. Let's accept that feeling, right? Let's accept it. I want to accept it, and I know that you guys are also brave enough and courageous enough to accept it. Okay, so let's not take the route of denying it, repressing it as a result of the non validation or the non acceptance from another person or the person involved. Just first, we need to accept it for ourselves. We need to respect ourselves enough to say that, hey, my emotions are valid. You know, what I feel is valid. What I feel energetically is true for me. It may not be true for you, but it's true for me, and I feel this way and it affects me this way, and I accept that. So we'll start with this process of acceptance. We accept it. Okay, we don't deny it and shame ourselves for it. We don't agree to some third person and act like something didn't happen. Okay, at least we need to firstly respect and love ourselves enough to accept. That is the first stage. Okay, and second stage is we are going to reflect. Second stage, after accepting your emotions, validating your emotions for yourself, validate it for yourself. Anjali, you felt this and it's okay. I'm here with you, and it sucks, and it's not easy. I acknowledge that, and I'm here for you. That's the first stage. No advice, no denial, no hiding, no shaming, no criticizing. Second step is reflection. Okay, now that we have accepted that these emotions exist, how are we going to express it? Or how could we have expressed it in a way that is maybe a little more, maybe we could have expressed it in a way that it could be received better. Okay, then this is not always the case. Sometimes, no matter how nicely you may express it, the other person is not ready to meet you in the middle. They're not ready to hear what you have to say, because it can create cognitive dissonance for them. Okay, and it may just, they may never acknowledge it as their truth, and in that case you have to be happy with just your own self-validation and the acceptance and validation and the support from your network of people that you have created for that purpose, which could be just one friend, which could be two friends, it could be a very small circle, but at least you have those people, right? And as I remind you, they are your family in spirit, and even if they are not available, you have to first be there for yourself. You have to validate it for yourself, and you have to accept that, hey, this is what happened, and I'm there for myself, to support myself, and I'm going to do the things I can to make myself feel good about myself in this situation. Like, it comes down to that for sure. Okay, and I'm not saying and as it's very hard, I would say take the support of your support system, the people who really care for you, the people who are genuinely understanding what you're going through, who won't belittle it or demean you. Okay, but the second thing is the reflection. Okay, I'm reflecting that. Okay, so the reflection will be a bit, maybe a little challenging, but we'll do it when you're ready. Doesn't have to be on the same day. It doesn't even have to be it may be many days later, it might be much later, but reflection is also a very important part of our growth and taking responsibility. So in the reflection part, we look at how could I have done this better, and how can I still express myself and still have validate my own emotions, but not in a way that hurts somebody else. Because often when we are validating those emotions, we tend to get very emotional, and we tend to become hysterical. I don't like the use of that word, but I think that this hysteria is not reasonless or bottomless, but still, how am I going to express it in a way that is more palatable for someone else who's dealing with that emotion with me, right? How am I going to express it in a way that that does justice to them also, as well as me, right? Because if you express something angrily to someone, they are immediately going to be blocked off, they're going to be closed off. The only way they might be receptive to it is if you communicate in a gentle way, or in a loving way, or a sweet way. And I know that in these situations, that's probably the hardest thing to do, is to communicate in a way that is, very neutral. Because at that moment you are so full of emotions, it's very hard to be neutral. You're either crying, or you're screaming, or you're angry, or you're all this mix, right? It is a turbulent energy. And it is that these people like us experience that turbulent energy more often than others, who can't really understand where is the turbulence stemming from, because they can't have not allowed to feel themselves that deeply to begin with. Okay, so it is a bit complicated. I really don't have any easy answers for it, but all I can say, by reflecting with ourselves and saying, hey Anjali, where could I have maybe expressed it in a way that was better? Maybe I could have, instead of, losing it, which, which I did, which did happen in the situation. I lost myself, I blew my top. But let's say, instead of blowing my top, how could I have addressed it, not repressed it, because that never really works. How could I have addressed it in a way that was kinder, that was more compassionate, that was more tolerant, and that was more loving? So maybe I could have done it through a letter. If I felt, okay, I really can't express it, I really can't express these turbulent emotions through words, and I'm going to end up screaming, then I could have maybe written a letter to the person, being fully emotionally vulnerable, and telling them honestly how I feel, and also not blaming them, just expressing how I feel, and writing that letter and giving that letter to them. Now, how they deal with the letter is up to them, right? But I have been able to express in a way um, that is more balanced, that is more thoughtful and reflective, and people generally are more open to it as a result of that itself. So that is one kind of little thing that you could do, like, okay, I can express it through, through something I'm writing. Or you express it when you're feeling very neutral within yourself, which means you have done the self-care on yourself. Maybe you did 15-minute meditation, maybe you did your some exercises, maybe you did yoga asanas, and then you're feeling better within yourself, and then you choose to express. So the another thing you can do is expressing when you're feeling better within yourself, like you are already created a good energy around you, you're feeling regulated at that moment, but you know that this is an issue. And then you decide, okay, now I'm feeling good within myself. I have I have kind of regulated myself, and I feel in balance, I feel happy, I feel neutral. Now I'm going to express this issue that I'm facing with this person or in this situation from this neutral place. Okay. And so these are like little things we can do, and I still don't want to say that it's like I can't say that these are concrete solutions, and I don't think it's easy to do them, especially in the spur of the moment. But these are things that we can slowly develop within ourselves, um, so that what we say is actually being heard by the other person, so that what we want to convey is actually has a chance of being absorbed or acknowledged. Because without that, there is even zero chance of it being acknowledged, which is what I've learned very recently. Like I used to feel like it's okay for me to scream about it because it's my emotions, and these emotions are very strong. But it's not, because the way I'm doing it is not okay. The way I'm conveying it is absolutely not okay. It's very disrespectful. So there is no chance of me being heard from that space of crying and screaming, right? Basically, I turn into an infant, and from that infantile position, I am, you know, or releasing. And it happens with all of us, especially with our family, but it is not, that's not okay. So reflection stage is when you acknowledge that certain parts of how I expressed, it's not okay. It's not okay for the other person. And how can I change that expression? How can I alter the expression? Even if it is slight alteration, it will help in your soul growth and evolution. How can I slightly alter it to help the other person out, to be more for myself, so that it can be received? Okay, so that is like you giving it a better chance, and it still does not guarantee. I just want to let you know, in certain situations, it's a closed door, and that acceptance has to happen. Okay, now third stage is, yes, what is the third stage? So first stage, accept your emotions, validate your emotions for yourself, acknowledge what you felt, don't deny, don't shame. Second stage is reflect on what happened, reflect on what are the things you can alter, even if slightly. Reflect on the ways that you could change it in order to be to get a better response, or to get a better to get some acknowledgement, even if it is not a lot. And thirdly, it is bringing the energy back to yourself. Okay, in such situations, what is happening is that without us knowing, we are getting sucked into someone else's energy, and we are getting sucked into someone else's loops and ways of being. So it happens very quickly, it's very hard to tell. But in that situation, what you can do is uh, take time off for yourself, be in solitude, and come back fully to yourself and your energy. Come back to your reality. Um, so yes, withdrawing from that situation is important. In that situation, withdraw from that that conflict situation. Withdraw and um, spend some time with yourself. That could again be days, week, one day, few days, months. Spend some time fully with yourself, soak in your own divinity, in your own good energies. And it's like coming back home to yourself, reminding yourself who you really are, what your values are. And yeah, also undertaking those activities, doing the things that you need to do to make yourself feel balanced and happy. Okay, again, small practices like having fruits, eating fruits, having a floral tea, maybe doing your yoga, doing your meditation, um, you know maybe doing the engaging in the creative pursuits that you need to do, just doing the work that you have, um, whatever your work is, immersing, not over immersing yourself as a distraction, but doing it consciously, just consciously getting back to yourself and doing the things you love, and reminding yourself of your strengths and who you are. Because as I said, at the end of the day, you are the one who can validate yourself. And yes, as humans, we seek validation, we love validation. That's why people enjoy being popular, right? Because then you get validation from even strangers. But all of that is still surface level, and at the end of the day, the deepest and the best validation comes from oneself, and that comes from a very very deep ocean of self love, which is developed over time. That level of love and patience and tolerance and kindness towards oneself takes years, it takes ages. I think that is where we return to it, because it never fails. um, we are always we are always alone and never alone, right? We are alone in the sense of, existentially speaking, yes, we are born alone and die alone, but we are never alone in the sense we always have our own selves. And I also believe that we have spirit guides and certain protective energies around, um, from different realms. This is something I believe, but even if you don't believe in that, you have yourself. Okay, in the most stark existential manner, you still have you. So the best you can is um, is validate yourself. Okay, and I also want to stress that you do have a community of people who feel these things, who feel deeply, who feel angsty, who feel intense emotions, who don't know what to do with it. And I don't want to take that away from you. I want to acknowledge that as someone else who also feels deeply. And I want to acknowledge you. You are seen, you are loved, you are supported, and you are heard. And you will get through this, and you will grow beyond this. And from this itself, you will the light will enter through this, through the darkness, as a result of the darkness. So my words are a little here and there, because of what I told you, but I just want you to know that I see you. So I hope you feel supported with this video. And it's not a time specific video. This is something that ideally you watch anytime you're feeling it, anytime you just you need that support, because I do that with the internet. I sometimes find videos that are perfectly aligned for that time. So yeah, I love you a lot. Okay, bye.